Boss Baby. It's a real movie. This seems like one of the movies that's in another movie that they make like they make it for fun, and I'm like, that would be funny. Like Big Fat Lie, when they have Big Fat Liar in there, and it would never be a real movie, but they have the Big Fat Lie within the Big Fat Liar, and it's so ridiculous. Or like, I can't remember what movie. I think it's Tropic Thunder with like the fat Jack Black family. This is like one of those movies, and somehow it's a real fucking movie. Alright, what is up, guys? This is my review for The Boss Baby. This follows the story of Tim and his family when Alec Baldwin's character, the Boss Baby, comes and joins their family. Basically, how babies are born in this, I suppose, they're either put into family or management, and the management is basically kept in charge of the babies getting delivered to families, and you know, helping with that and keeping the love. And the Boss Baby, Alec Baldwin, gets put on a mission to infiltrate Puppy Co, because Puppy Co is a product of puppies. They make puppies because puppies aren't breeded. No, that's not right. They're made. And he has to stop them because the puppies are stealing too much love from the babies. And this is going to be one of the most crazy plots that I've ever heard from a movie, and that was a huge problem for me in this one. Was it a bad movie? Kinda. Was it a good movie? No. Was the plot ridiculous? Hell yes. This was such a bad thing for me. I was just sitting there and I couldn't get over the plot the entire movie. I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, it was just so obscure, and I was like just so dumb. I couldn't get into it. Saying that though, I think there were some definite cool scenes in there. The animation, the visuals were really cool. There were some funny scenes in there. The opening sequence, like credit sequence, has a really cool baby scene in there, and that's pretty cool. There's some scenes that do work. There's some stuff that works comedy-wise. I feel like they were missing the mark with some of the jokes though. I feel like some of them were targeted at the adults and then not enough at the kids. And I was sitting there with a cinema of about 40, and none of the kids were really laughing that much. There's a few silly scenes that they laughed at, but the jokes a lot of the time weren't hitting the mark with at least the kids I was watching. So that's not a good thing. And I think that was the problem. I don't know what they were trying to do with this movie. It seemed like they didn't know how to do it. They were trying to do some villain thing while doing some heartwarming thing, and they kind of misguided that as well at the end. There was a bit of, you know, I felt like when they were doing stuff, they were doing it wrong. I feel like it just missed the mark in total. I think this movie had some, you know, as I said, it had good visuals, it had some, you know, quippy one-liners, you know, some jokes in there, but I don't think it hit the mark as animations do. I'm a huge fan of animations. I find it hard to dislike an animation movie, and I don't think this one was just up to par compared to other animation movies. Was it a bad movie? Not necessarily as bad as other, you know, bad movies, but as animation goes, I think it's on the badder side of things. I just think it had a lot of room to, you know, move. It wasn't as heartwarming. The characters weren't as, you know, compelling, and there was just never any point where you kind of felt for the characters. I mean, you were trying to, but it just wasn't as high stakes they were trying to make it seem. And even the consequences, the stuff they were doing, they weren't getting like there was no consequences for stuff that happened in the world, and I think that's kind of something that misses the mark. And I say that again, it just, to me, it just felt like they missed the mark with this movie. It was just a ridiculous plot. The characters were alright. I think that, again, it was just about hit and miss. I felt like that's just it's such a hit and miss movie. There was parts where you could laugh, there were parts where you're just like, that was bad, and then I just couldn't get over the plot personally. I think this movie, it's just something that just misses the mark, and that's basically the only way I'm going to put this movie. It just misses the mark. I'm going to give it a C-. This movie I don't think will be on my worst list of the year, but it's probably my most disappointing when it comes to animation. I wasn't expecting it to be good. It was actually slightly better than I thought, but when it comes to animations, I expect them to be on a high level because they're fun, they're animated, it's going to be a good time, and I think this just didn't deliver when it came to animations at all. I think, again, it's probably on the worst sides of animation. I think DreamWorks putting a step again up against stuff again like Shrek and Madagascar and, you know, How to Train Your Dragon. I think they got to work onto that stuff level again. Saying that, you guys can get involved in the conversation below. You can like, you can subscribe, and have a good one.